Hey, today I'm talking about 3 films from the Criterion Collection that involve family, marriage, divorce, those kinds of topics. How do kids interact with all of this? How do families adjust? And the first of these that I'm going to discuss is Late Autumn. This, of course, was directed by Yasujiro Ozu, one of the masters of the family drama and my very favorite director. This is 1960, starring Setsuko Hara, one of his longtime terrific actresses who I've loved in all of her films I've seen. And she's a mother in this, and she may get remarried, she may not. You know, that's part of the question of the film. But also her daughter is living with her, and so, you know, if mom doesn't get married, will the daughter, will they be lonely, that kind of thing. That issue comes up over and over. And parts of this, of course, are going to be very closely related to Late Spring, that great that great particular Ozu work from 1949, and it even tells you that on the back. And I have talked about Late Spring on here before. It's one of my favorite films ever. There's a line in here that I wrote down I wanted to read to you. You ought to get married. The men get worse the longer you wait. And that's the kind of blunt, direct dialogue that I love about this film. Specifically, there's one character, Yuriko, who's sort of a family friend. She's very aggressive. She handles a group of, I don't want to, you might call them piggish men, very set in their ways, and she handles them well, and she kind of tells them what's what. The film can be frustrating to watch, I will tell you, because there are so many leftover traditions from the last generation that are like a little difficult to watch. Often in Ozu films, the generational gap seems to be two-sided. You know, there's some things that maybe the young should be doing or the older, but in this particular film, I think he is decidedly on the side of the younger generation, because the way these men talk, it can be kind of, not good, to say the least, without going into too many spoilers there. There's a conversation in here that I really like, where, just an example of that generational gap, where there's this couple, and instead of having like a shower, a traditional meeting, they're going on a hiking trip. And that's something that, in my day, we never would have done that. And I do think that even though some people in the older generation are a little frustrating, there is one who isn't, and that is Setsuko Hara's character as the mother, the matriarch. She actually plays a role similar to what you might have seen from Shisha and all those kind of films. He has a small role in here. He's not really a player, but that's kind of an interesting little flip-flop there if you've seen a lot of Ozu films. But I definitely think you should check it out, and I do think you'll be emotionally affected, particularly toward the end. It has one of those all-time scenes with Ozu that can give you a bit of a tear-jerker as well. But in general, please check out Ozu if you want to learn more about the family drama and the marriage sort of genre. This is just a fabulous film from a really good director. And like I said, I hope that they put these films in a Blu-ray at some point, but we'll see. I made a video about the Eclipse getting Blu-rays, the Eclipse series. I just love it. And my wife got me this a few years ago, and I really treasure it. All right, one of the films I recently watched that I think falls right in line with what we're discussing is called All That Heaven Allows. All That Heaven Allows from 1955. The back of this is really pretty, really pretty. The back of this says, this heartbreakingly beautiful indictment of 1950s American wars by Douglas Sirk follows the blossoming love between a well-off widow, Jane Wyman, and her handsome and earthly young gardener, Rock Hudson. She falls in love with this man, and this romantic fall, it is a romantic fall atmosphere with the leaves and then the snow. When we get to that season, it's very inviting. He has made this sort of house near where he lives, where he used to just sort of live in a room like a bachelor. And it's difficult not to root for him and his sort of Walden Thoreau transcendentalist self in this film. But the problem that the would-be wife runs into is that society just absolutely will look down on this kind of a relationship because he's not rich, he's younger. There will be lots of different accusations thrown at the relationship. And so much of the film is about taking a stand and not caring how other people feel about your love life, quite frankly. And the two children, the son and the daughter is kind of reasonable in my opinion with some of her takes, but the son is a really frustrating character. I think you're going to find that you dislike him quite a bit. I think that this film is really effective because even though it's about a younger man and an older woman in two different social circles and two different statuses in terms of how much wealth they have, really you could apply the film and some of what it teaches to any relationship that society may not condone for whatever reason. Okay, whether that's two people, in an interracial relationship, maybe the community doesn't accept that. Maybe the community doesn't accept two people of the same sex or whatever it is. This would really apply to lots of different types of relationships or even friendships for that matter. Maybe someone doesn't want you to be friends with so-and-so because they don't fit in with the group. And it's just really universally powerful in that way. And, it's a little bit like candy sweet with the scenery, but I think that mostly works in its favor. And overall, I really do like all that heaven allows. And I think you should check it out if you haven't. All right. Now, one film I've seen many times that I just wanted to mention here because it feels like it fits right in. And I have an old DVD of this. I'll bring it up every so often. This is the Royal Tenenbaums. Okay. I've had this for ages. This thing probably, the last time I put it in, it just was barely working. Gene Hackman, Angelica Houston in a Wes Anderson film. And they'd been married, they're separated now. They had a group of children who are really smart, really capable, but they have to varying degrees on how well they're actually living their lives. But Gene Hackman's character feigns an illness, and it sort of brings everyone back together. And in the process of this, Angelica Houston is seeing Danny Glover. Just almost dropped this thing and finished it off. That would have been bad. She's seeing Danny Glover, and there's some rivalry there with him and Hackman. And I just really think it's a funny film. It's an enlightening film, kind of a sad film, but it's Gene Hackman really put his all into this, as he does, has with any character. I always feel like he just adds a little something to movies that wouldn't be there if he wasn't in the picture. But I have seen this at least 6, 7, 8 times, and every time I watch it, I find something new I like. I will say out of the children, Ben Stiller's okay, the Wilsons are okay, but the Gwyneth Paltrow character for me was the most interesting, trying to see how she sort of fell apart in this film, in this family with this very poor excuse for a father at times, and maybe that had a lot of influence on her. But it is quirky, it is Anderson. If you don't like other Wes Anderson stuff, you may not like this, although I think it's a little less Wes Anderson-ish than some of his films are. But I really enjoy it, and I think it's perfect for this kind of thing. And so each of these films are films you should see if you are looking for family, marriage, children in the marriage, how that all interacts and plays out. I think you're going to really enjoy all 3 of these. And if you did enjoy my video today and want to click that thumbs up button for me, I'd appreciate it. Tell me in the comments what films you think fit sort of what I'm getting at here. And subscribe if you haven't. Criterion Cinema.